We won't offend anybody, but we're going to start with prayer. Okay? Steve Lee, would you stand and lead us in prayer, please?
My dear beloved Heavenly Father, we come to your throne of grace tonight, asking, Lord, that you would be with us, and that you would guide us in everything that we say and do, Lord, and that everything that we accomplish will be pleasing to you in your sight, Lord, for it's in the precious name of Jesus that I do pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, if there's anybody that doesn't know who I am, my name is Danny Bullock. But anyway, I was blessed to be elected at the organizational meeting to be chairman. I came with the invitation of somebody, and the next thing I knew, it was organization time. Here I am, so that's fine. Had several things we're going to run through tonight, and I think I was originally going to just introduce the officers that got elected at the last meeting. I think just to cover that, what I'll do is I'll recognize Joe Owens, who was elected to Secretary-Treasurer. He'll give a report, maybe the minutes of that, and then we'll go from there. So, Joe?
On August 21st, 2014, a meeting was held at College View Baptist Church to organize opposition to the vote to sell alcohol in Columbia County. After a welcome by College View Pastor Mike Sealy, the floor was open for nomination of officers. Danny Bullock was elected chairman. Deborah Ebar was elected vice chairman. Joe Owens was elected secretary-treasurer, and Gail Goodman was elected assistant secretary-treasurer. A publicity committee was elected. Kevin and Lisa Edwards, Deborah Ebar, and Stephen McAfee made up the publicity committee. Chairman Bullock opened discussion about a name for the group, and Citizens for the Truth About Growth was selected. The motion was made and seconded to open a bank account, and Farmers Bank was selected. Motion passed. The next meeting date was set for September the 2nd at 7 p.m. at White Dove Church. You want me to go ahead and give you the financial report while we were at it. The deposits made, this is for the month of August. Deposits made during the month of August was $4,150. Disbursements during the month of August was $3,580.10 to Pat Simmons. That's for 1,000 yard signs. And I didn't have any checks at the time, so I got that cashier's check. That cost me $5 to get a cashier's check. And so the balance we have in the bank right now is $564.90. I owe Mr. Pat $618 to pay for the little wire things and hold the sign up. And we are registered with the state of Arkansas now, with the Arkansas Ethics Commission. And because we're registered, every donation that I receive over $50, I have to turn in the name and the address. At the end of the month, they get a report of everybody that's turned in money, you know, if it's an organization or a person. And we won't have time to become something that you can write off on your taxes. I don't know what you call that, 401 or something, whatever. We're not, by the time we got that done, we'd be done, we'd be through. So the money you give us, you can't count it off your taxes unless you route it through a church or something like that. So whatever you need to do. Any questions or anything else?
Okay, I think everybody's aware of the fact of why we're here. There has been a petition got together to legalize the sale of alcohol in Columbia County. They got quite a few signatures, I think over 6,000 that were accepted. So there's going to be a lot of people voting to legalize alcohol in the state or in this county. The only way it's going to get overturned is if those that are opposed to it stand up and vote against it and get enough people to do it. So it will not be an easy thing, but it is doable. And so you're here tonight for that purpose. Let me just say one thing before I recognize some other folks. I know that a lot of us, we're passionate about whether or not drinking alcohol is good, whether it's permissible for Christian. You know, people will disagree on that. that's not really the issue that we're battling here. Okay, that's for churches to deal with. We hope churches and pastors will deal with that. But how you believe on that is important as to whether or not you can talk people into voting yes or no on this. So someone has made available for us some DVDs entitled Should Christians Drink? We have 100 of them out in the lobby. They've been given raw. They won't cost you anything. If you want to pick up one or two tonight, watch them, distribute them. More can be purchased, but they're available. They can be a tool that you can use. So please be aware that when we dismiss tonight, they're in the foyer out here to my right on your way out. So again, we appreciate the one that's purchased those and what he's doing. So anyway, remember that. All right, I'm going to kind of move through some of the officers and let them speak and share about, to let you know what's been done already and kind of where we're heading with this. Stephen McAbee is part of the publicity committee, and he has done a super job on coming up with a logo and a website. And I'm going to let him come and talk about all that he's done, what's available to you tonight, and where we're going from there, Stephen.
Brother Danny, thank you, and I want to say thank you for being here tonight. As with you, this is something that's very important to my heart and to my life. My uncle died of a disease from alcohol. It cost him his family, it cost him his job, and I have watched my family really be broken. That's the talking points that people are going to associate and identify with this grassroots movement. And it's going to be something that's very vital and very important. And I don't have a publicity degree. I don't have a marketing degree. So if you see something that we're missing, feel free to email us or call us. We want to have an open door policy. If you have an idea that you think is important or an angle that you think we're missing, let me just be quick to say we're open for suggestions. And we are very much welcoming your inputs as we move forward. To get the word out, though, we have to have something to identify with. And one of the very first things that we sought out to do is that we sought out to brand ourselves. We sought out to market ourselves with a logo. And so the logo has been developed. It has been publicized, and it will be more and more publicized. And so I wanted you to see that the logo is finished, it is complete, and we have that to be able to be used. I wanted to communicate something that was easy to read, something that was easy to identify with, and something that communicated to vote no against this initiative, communicated the idea that we are against the alcohol sale in our community. Also, the signs are almost here. I know that Danny was hoping that they'd be here tonight, as we were as well, but with the holiday yesterday, it delayed the shipment. I'm hoping to have those signs tomorrow at the latest on Thursday. There is a sign-up sheet if you want to sign. We want to ask you to sign up tonight for a sign. We will contact you when they come in, and we will make sure that you know where to go and get those. If you're a pastor tonight, if you're a church leader tonight, and you want multiple signs, if you'll let us know as well how many signs you or your church wants, and we'll make sure that we bundle those together so you can pick those up in one group. Our website is a work in progress, but it is working, and we will continue to work on that and manipulate that. And so I'm not sure that this link will work tonight, but I do want to encourage you tonight to go home and check out tagmag.org and give me some feedback on that as well as you progress through there. The Publicity Committee wants us to order some T-shirts, and so this is something that we're working on. If you want a T-shirt, we want to encourage you to sign that. We have a sign-up sheet as well for T-shirts tonight. We want to make sure that when we go out in the community, when we canvass the community, when we're at the fairgrounds or when we're at the parade, that we're all kind of dressed alike so that we're easily identified as to who we are and what we're doing, so that we all kind of have a united front. And so if you want a T-shirt, please let us know tonight. Again, if you're a pastor and want to order multiple shirts, please let us know as well. just the idea of canvassing the community. What I've talked to the publicity committee about is, we have enough churches involved where we are geographically located around the community. And one of the things that I'm asking our churches to do and our pastors to do is say, take a week or take an area or take both, where you can say, okay, we're geographically located in this area, and we will do our best in the next several weeks to make sure that this area gets canvassed. We're going to go knock on doors, we're going to go talk to people, and we're going to get the word out by foot, door to door, person to person, to make sure they get a brochure and some questions answered, and to get the word out, hey, that we are here and we are against this and we don't want our town going west. So if you want to email me at this email address, if you're a church leader or pastor, then I'll make sure that we coordinate on what area you're going to work and get you the things that you need to make that happen. We are on some social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. It's important that you take time to like us or follow us so that we can get the word out. We need to think about ways that we can increase our digital imprint and our digital footprints. And so if you'll repost things, if you'll traffic things, if you'll comment on things, all of those things will help us increase the digital imprint that we have. And so physically and digitally, those things are important. One of the things that I want to do, and I'm in the process of trying to coordinate, and that's a YouTube channel. It may not mean much to my generation and just older than my generation, but anyone younger than my generation, YouTube is a big part of their culture. And so one of the things that I want to do is, if you have been touched, if your life or your family has been impacted by alcohol, and you don't mind sharing your story, I want to sit down with you and interview you, because I want to put together some YouTube videos that will go out to kind of tell our story as a community. Hey, we have been touched by alcohol in a negative way, and here's how we have seen the alcohol issue impact us, and we don't want this to happen to you. So I think if we can add a personal touch to it, that this is why we are against this is why we are standing up for our community, I think it'll go a long way to touch people. I think we need to touch people psychologically. I think we need to touch people with our minds, with the knowledge, but then we need to touch people also with our emotions. And so we need to target all of those different things, because that's the way God made us. He's made us intellectual, He's made us emotional, and He's made us rational. And so we need to touch every one of those kind of levels so that we can have a good broad feeling, a good level of front there. Upcoming things, these things in gray are things that I'm working on, or the committee's working on, things that we talked about, and that's flyers, handouts, and mailers. A mass mailer, I'm suggesting that we do 2 mass mailings, one as soon as we can and one the week before the election, that would go out to zip code and do zip code mailings so that everyone gets a mailer in the mail, would be full color, and would have some myths on there, some truths on there, and kind of dialogue, and then ask people to vote no. And so those things are things that we're working on, things that we have in our minds to work. A couple of things you need to be aware of as far as the community goes. On September the 21st, Larry Page, who's the Executive Director of Arkansas Faith and Ethics Council, he is going to be at Central Baptist Church in the morning service. He's also going to be at Emmanuel Baptist Church in the evening service. And what Larry and I talked about last week was to have a town hall meeting on Sunday evening, September the 21st, at Emmanuel, where everybody's invited to come and kind of hash this out and talk about this in a town hall atmosphere. And our church, Emmanuel's going to host that and bring Larry in. And he's going to do a presentation and then take some question and answers from the community and just kind of dialogue about this. So that's something I want you to be aware of. If you're interested, please participate and take notes. Also, on October the 7th, we're working to have Lee Williams to come into the community and to be a part. And we're going to do this, hopefully, our plans are to be on the SAU campus in the Reynolds Hall. And we're going to invite him to come. And we're going to encourage our student body at SAU to come and to be a part of this. And then our community also to come in and hear Lee's testimony. I want you tonight to hear a little bit about Lee and who he is so that you know a little bit of why we want to bring him in. And then not work.
take away the hurt, take away the pain, take away the anger, the bitterness, and I assure you, the God that we have can do this for anyone who desires and is willing to let him do this.
A church bus from the First Assembly of God Church in Radcliffe, Kentucky was struck head-on during the nighttime hours last night by a pickup truck. The truck was going north in the southbound lanes when it hit the bus head-on. The fiery crash happened just minutes before 11 o'clock last night. These are pictures of the bus. The fire started in the front of the bus. We're told it was ignited by metal scraping on the pavement.
And you know, it's been over 18 years ago, and I can close my eyes. I can tell you what she was wearing. I can still see her walking across that yard.
When someone faces a loss in life, it can be a devastating experience, whether it's a family member or a friend or even a career. Questions come to my mind when I think about loss, like, how do you handle it? Can you be prepared for it? Or if so, how do you prepare for it? I know when I think of my own family, my wife and my 3 daughters, I can't imagine losing any of them. And yet that's precisely what happened to Lee Williams in May of 1988 when his wife and his 2 daughters were tragically killed in a bus accident. If anyone understands the pain of loss, it's Lee Williams.
I was supposed to have been at the hospital that morning by 8 o'clock, and I was running late. I could not find my truck keys, and I was going through the house. I was in a mad rush. But all of a sudden, I'm going down the hallway, and the bathroom door of the hallway opens up, and my 14-year-old daughter, Kristen, steps up. We had what we call a hallway mid-collision there. Even though I was in a hurry, and even though I needed to be there, it's like something just said, stop. And I just stood there for a second, and I said, you know, Kristen, I won't see you tonight. Because, see, that night, she was spending the night with her best friend. And then the next morning, she was getting up and going over to the church to go on the trip to Kings Island. And I said, I won't see you tonight. I want you to have a great time tomorrow. And then I just said, I love you. And she said, hey, Dad, I love you too. And gave her a little kiss goodbye. And she just walked out of my sight. When she walked out of my life, I never saw her again. About 1:45, I get a phone call and said, you need to come to the church. I said, well, what's going on? Well, the bus has been involved in a wreck.
And a drunken driver going the wrong way on the interstate hit our church bus, driving the frame 8 feet back under the bus, breaking the spring system, which flew into the gas tank, punctured the gas tank, and they had fueled up about 30 minutes before the tragedy. And when the spring began to drag on the pavement, creating sparks, the gasoline dripped on the sparks and creating a fire. He would say, if God would just spare 2 of them, just let me have 2 of them. Then as the morning wore on, and they couldn't find him in any of the hospitals, then he said, God, if you just let me have 1 of them, just 1 of them.
On the 3 white caskets, my mother-in-law had set an 8x10 picture of me and Joy and the girls, Robin and Kristen. I'd walk up in front of that casket. You put your hands there. I remember the first thing I said is, I love you so much. I don't know what I'm going to do without you.
And he said, my mother's gone. She died 6 months ago. My father was killed in Korea. And he said, I do not have anybody that I know that's related to me. He said, I really am alone in this world, and now don't have a wife or any daughters.
I went to Kristen's casket, and I remember standing in the living room the day that she was born, and I remembered her birthday parties, her band contest. I saw everything that I did with her, and that happened with Joy, that happened with Robin. Then this happens. As soon as you see everything that you've done with them, it's like something turns a channel, and you see everything that you'll never do. After the funeral, I came home and I took all the pictures off of her. And I'd go from room to room and just sit there, think about what I had. You know what? I really believe that many times we don't know what we really have until we lose it or we're about to lose it. And I think we need to just slow down sometimes and think about things. That night, I let them go. That night, I released them. I knew they were with God, and I said, in a few short minutes, it's going to be a new year, and there's going to be a new lead walk out of this room. And God showed me what to do. I got the Bible. I wrote scriptures out on a 3x5 card. Power scriptures is what I call them. And every time into the new year when I would get depressed, discouraged, I'd pull that scripture out of my shirt pocket. I'd read the Word of God. And those scriptures, the Word of God empowered me. I decided I wanted to call Dottie Pearman. Her husband was killed in a bus wreck. And he left behind 3 children, and he left behind his wife.
John was driving the bus that day, and our daughter Christy was going with him. So I stayed behind with our 2 children.
And I decided that I wanted to share with her what God had showed me.
He called me in about January and wanted to know if we could go to lunch together.
I really wanted to be around somebody who knew what it was like to lose a spouse. And she knew.
We met there for 4.5 hours one day and just talked.
Talking with somebody who knew what I knew.
Behind the scenes, God was just moving, and God was trying to do a wonderful thing out of such a tragedy.
Six months after we were married, it's Christmas morning, we'd opened all of our presents up, and then here come the 3 children, 15, 12, and 7. And they said, Lee, we've got another present for you. Well, Dottie didn't know nothing about it. Nobody knew anything about it. And finally, the oldest one said, our dad's gone and he's not coming back, and you're here now. So our Christmas present to you this year is, we're going to start calling you Dad. Now, I got a new wife, 3 new kids, I got my title back. That's the best Christmas present I've ever had.
So, in essence, I had what Lee needed to fulfill his life. He had what I needed to fulfill my life.
These 3 children of mine, they're all married now. We have 5 grandchildren now, and we have 2 more on the way. I'm Dad. I'm Grandpa around here. And God has blessed me and blessed me above and beyond.
You want to know more about Lee, Pastor Travis, is talk to, and I'm sure he would sit down with you and visit. But that's something on the horizon that we want you to be a part of and to be aware of. We'll be aware of and how to be involved. Here are some things that we need. The publicity committee, we have been thinking about and talking about just the need of prayer and just how important it will be for us as a community who cares to bake this, to be a part of this, and just to sincerely ask God to intervene in the lives and hearts of individuals and families and churches and ultimately in our community. But I also want to bring to your attention tonight, in case you're not aware, that Arkansas has 37 dry counties and 38 wet counties. That's pretty close. One of the things that is planning on being on the ballot this fall is, regardless of what we do in Columbia County, and that is our state is going to vote on a wet dry initiative. So it is very possible for us to win the local and lose the state. So we could be in a win-lose situation. So I think it's important that we understand that. It's important that we are ready to fight and pray on our knees because of that fact. So therefore it's important that we do all that we can locally and in the state to make sure that we have the right as a community to decide this issue as well. We need people to be involved. This is not a Danny Stevens show. This is not 2 or 3 people making this happen. This is a us thing. And one of the things that I want you to hear is a committee, we were working on this together. We have been putting our efforts in this as a thing, but we want you to be involved as well. We want to railroad you with this decision as well. We want you to come alongside and be a part of this because it's going to require time, it's going to require effort, it's going to require a lot of energy, and it's going to require some sacrifice on all of our parts. And so we want to encourage you to get involved and to be a part. The last thing there, you know, I'm a preacher, so peace, prayer, people, and then provisions. And yes, we need your money. I hate to say it that way, but everything we want to do, everything we need to do, takes some cash flow, it takes some resources. And so there's a price tag involved, and so we're grateful. Let me just say, first of all, we're grateful if you have given, if you've taken time to make a donation. We want to say thank you for that generous donation. And we couldn't do what we've done thus far without those donations. And we can't do in the future what we plan to do if we don't have some continued support. And so I just want to make an appeal on behalf of the Publicity Committee. Thank you for what you've done, and thank you for what you will do in the days to come, because together we can certainly make a difference. So, Brother Danny, thank you on behalf of the Publicity Committee for allowing me to speak tonight.
I appreciate Stephen so much. He has given me a lot of time and effort and expertise. I mean, what he's done, I could never have done at all. Don't know all that. So he's done a super job, and I appreciate it. I hope you've noticed the idea about truth. The meeting we had to start with, we just all were unanimous in the fact that we felt like this Truth for Growth was really more of a smokescreen. That it really wasn't about economic growth. It was more about convenience. And, you know, I acknowledge there will be revenue brought in. There will be tax dollars from that. There will be sale from alcohol that's legalized. Our feeling is that it's really more about convenience, so we thought we'd try to bring about facts, truthful statements that would bust those myths of what they were saying. I just don't see it, that alcohol is going to be an economic boom for our community. And again, we just say, just look south, Spring Hill, look north to Camden, east to El Dorado. You see a lot of economic boom and growth there. It's other things that are bringing growth, businesses. So that's why we're stressing that we want to be truthful. We don't want to do anything unethically, dishonest. We want to be factual with what we bring. So that's why even though biblical things are our passion, you probably won't see a lot of biblical reference in our publicity because, you know, it's not a matter of do you think it's okay for Christians to drink or not. The thing is before us, do we want to legalize it in our community? Our feeling is that even though we're bringing some revenue, what it will ultimately cost will far outweigh, you know, whatever revenue it might bring in. So remember, that's the thought. TAG, Truth About Growth, tagmag.org is what he's got set up. Go on there, learn it, do what he's encouraging you to do, to like those pages. In a moment, Deborah will come and talk about the Facebook page. And also, she's going to talk about some different committees that we hope that you'll get involved in. As Brother Stephen said, this can't be done by a handful of people. We need a lot of people involved. There are things that you can get involved in doing. And so I hope that as Deborah comes, that you'll listen to what she's going to share. And she's going to have some sign-up sheets that'll be available. And you can say, okay, I can do this. I can't do the other, but I can do this. I'll get involved here. So Deborah, come share with us, please.
Thank you. I'm honored tonight to look out here at such a sea of faces. Praise the Lord. As Brother Danny said, we have a Facebook page, and as Brother Stephen emphasized, our social media, our footprint in the community is very much needed. So when you click a link and you share a picture or you share stats, you're actually helping to spread the word in our community. I started a Facebook page, a Facebook group called Citizens for the Truth About Growth. And Brother Joe started a page, the same title with the number 2 behind it. So again, it is Citizens for the Truth About Growth. If you just type that into your search engine, me or when we began looking at the different committees, that the one thing that our side has going for it is family. Y'all, the other side can't use family for their propaganda. But our side can very much utilize how important our children and their future of tomorrow here in our county is. I'm a born and bred Columbia County girl. For years, alcohol plagued my family as well as myself. And since I've been a born-again Christian, I tell people the effects that it can have. So I want to see the youth rally together. And so we need some students, some youth that are passionate about this issue. Families, talk to your children and let them have a voice. What do they think? What do they see from their perspective? While they can't vote, they can very much have an impact on others that do. And I think our children are a very important voice that we should allow to be heard. I would like to see the youth after the meeting, if you're here and you know already that you want to be a part of this, if you will meet with me up here at the front, I'll be getting your information because we're going to be in the parade. And that's something else, community. You better know our opposition is going to have a presence at the fair parade, at the county fairgrounds. So, I encourage everybody to get a t-shirt and be peaceful. Be wise as a serpent, but peaceful as doves. Let us handle ourselves with dignity. But so we are encouraging students and teens, those that are good writers. We would really like to publish some of your testimonies and have those to pass out on the fair parade route. And maybe do some radio ads with our youth, again, speaking out to the community. We will also be needing a prayer and a transportation committee, and I kind of see those coming together as one. We need at least one representative from every church in our county. And those that have a bus ministry would be awesome if you could volunteer, like Brother Stephen was talking about, as you break down your communities where your churches are located, to find out, get out and canvass your areas and find out who might need a ride to the polls on election day. There are some seniors, they have a vote, but they may not have transportation or be able to drive themselves. So again, we encourage that. So if your church is interested, please see me after service so we can get you signed up for the prayer and transportation committee. And individuals as well. Visitation committee, a voting committee, and telephone committee. I see those three working together as one. Again, some of the canvassing, making some phone calls. Some of you say, I don't have the time or the energy to get out and walk. But you can pick up a phone and make a few phone calls. And so please don't think that your abilities cannot be utilized in this campaign, because I believe we can find a place for everyone that is willing to help. And again, just want to say thank you for supporting us and coming out tonight. We do have t-shirt sign-ups being passed around. Make sure that you sign those. Miss Gail Goodwin owns the Bible bookstore here in town. She and I talked a while ago. She's not only willing to be a distributor of our signs, but she will also have a sign-up sheet there in her store. If you are interested in a t-shirt and you don't get one tonight, or later on somebody, your neighbor or someone sees yours and says, hey, where can I get one? Send them down to Miss Gail at the Bible bookstore and she'll be happy to help them. I believe that's all I have. Again, thank you for your participation and your concern for our community. God bless.
Okay, hope you picked up on what you shared, because that's where you can really get involved. These different committees, contacting people, doing some canvassing, calling, visiting people's homes. I wish I could tell you how many votes we have to win the election. I'm not totally sure. I think, Shirley, what was the last election? Around 9,600, something like that, people voted in that election year? That's fine. At first I thought we got 5,000 votes we could win. I found out since then that when the opposition was doing their petition signing, they got on the SAU campus last semester and they were registering SAU students to vote here, which I don't understand all this. I don't know how many hundreds they got, so that's going to change the numbers. If it's true that they can, while they're here as students, they can move their voter registration here and still vote in our local election, we're going to do some extra work to combat that. So that's, even though they told you they wanted the citizens of Columbia County to decide, I don't think that's exactly true if they're getting people outside the county registered to vote for their way. So, all right, just want to let you know that's happening. So make sure you understand this statewide issue, the initiative. We've got elected people know they've got to vote no twice to defeat this. They've got to vote against the state as well as the local. Because if we pass it here locally and the state still fails, all of our work will be for naught, basically. So we've got to fight to get the state defeated also. I am curious. This is a county-wide thing. It's not just Magnolia. Who do we have here from the village area? One, okay. 2, 3, okay. How many from Emerson? Okay. How many from Waldo? All right. Taylor? All right. McNeil? Okay. We got to make sure we get out and just don't keep it just in the city. We've got to reach the whole county. So we've got to do a good job of, if you know people that would vote against this, that are not registered, what do you need to do? Get them registered, okay? Oh, that's a good point. Thank you. Brother Stephen, with his intelligence and technology savvy, has made it possible when you go to the website, there's a link there where you can actually register to vote. So you can help somebody to register to vote that way. So, try to do what? English and Spanish. So if any of you need a second language, it's there for you. Okay? Yes? Okay, 30 days before the election. So by the first week in October, you got to make sure you get people registered. So if the other side's trying to register people to vote for their side, you better get out there and do everything you can. Because I said in the letter to the editor, if we sit back and don't do anything, we've got nobody to blame but ourselves. The battle's been set. We need to get involved and do whatever we can possibly do. All right. Robert Gunnels, I think, has put together some facts and figures. We've been trying to do this, so listen to what he has to share, and we'll go from there.
Deborah asked me to come and speak tonight for about 10 minutes on the economic argument. And of course, the other side, that's the line they've drawn. This is about economic growth. And so we're going to look at really what the truth is about that. There have actually been no studies whatsoever that show that going from dry to wet has an impact on economic growth in terms of increased business and industrial development. Outside of the building of the liquor stores and bars and perhaps a restaurant or two that are directly connected to alcohol and the few jobs that are associated with that. In fact, the only jobs that I've seen promised from the other side that can guarantee any type of growth in terms of jobs are directly attached to the liquor stores. I saw where someone had posted that they expected 15 to 20 jobs created. That's not what I call economic development. Data clearly shows that in Arkansas there's actually been greater economic growth in dry counties than wet counties in the last 10 years. And dry counties have also outgrown wet counties in Arkansas by almost 250% in population. So obviously alcohol sales do not increase, do not guarantee economic growth of population. Companies actually look at a number of factors when considering locating in a community or expanding in a community. The most important thing for a company is a skilled, literate, and qualified workforce. If you don't have that, I think I said in one interview, you can give alcohol away. Companies aren't going to come here if you don't have a workforce that's qualified to work. Industry wants to see your quality of public services, your crime statistics, your educational system, your adequate health care, infrastructure, incentive packages, and most importantly, as I said, the ability to supply an employable workforce. Being a wet county will not increase the likelihood of economic growth that's being promised by the Vote for Growth. In fact, just the opposite occurs due to alcohol abuse, which costs employers in the United States over $100 billion a year in lost productivity due to alcohol-related illness, work absenteeism, injury, and crime. Concentrating on improving the things which are more likely to attract business and industry is a much wiser investment of both time and resources. As Brother Danny said, there's no doubt that alcohol sales will increase tax and sales revenue for Columbia County. But so would any type of improved life options that would keep people in Magnolia rather than spending their money out of town. That includes investing in positive things, such as a movie theater or an entertainment complex. The question is that we need to ask, are the consequences worth what you invest in? What are the repercussions of the type of change that will come in order to increase revenue to a community? Are the changes that will come to our community worth the increased tax revenue that alcohol sales will bring? Even in Boone County and Clark County in Arkansas, which have recently gone wet, the sales tax revenue has been modest, according to the Arkansas Business Magazine. But most concerning is the fact that for every dollar spent or every dollar raised in alcohol revenue sales, it costs the community around $15 in increased public service costs to deal with the social problems created by alcohol. The law of diminishing return tells us that you will never bring in enough alcohol revenue to cover the cost to the community and increase tax burden to resolve the problems that alcohol brings. When the Vote for Growth Committee talks about how much money the county is losing to our wet neighbors, they're focused solely on that aspect of lost tax revenue. And yes, $19 million in increased revenue certainly sounds good. But the other side of the story is the increased tax burden added to the community because of alcohol sales will be more costly than we can ever get from sales. If you look at only the times you win and ignore the times you lose, even a trip to the casino sounds like a deal sometimes. Studies show wet counties in Arkansas have more DUIs, more aggravated assaults, more robberies, more rapes, more murders, more drugs, and more alcohol abuse. All of these are public safety issues that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars more a year than the tax revenue brought in by alcohol sales. Not surprisingly, for example, wet counties in Arkansas require 60% more law enforcement personnel than dry counties. Someone has to pay for these costs, and it's the taxpayers who bear the brunt of these increased costs, primarily in additional health care and law enforcement expenditures that siphon very scarce tax resources from other community needs. Money doesn't solve all problems, and the money you are trying to raise costs more in greater social ills than it solves. It's certainly not worth it. The bottom line is those who support alcohol sales are taking a very short-sighted view when promising economic growth and coffers full of tax revenue. There is no proof of economic growth. They cannot promise and guarantee economic growth. And what is gained in increased revenue, our county will lose many times over in the much higher social cost. We cannot afford that. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. He's done his research, and I appreciate that. Travis McCann, pastor here, is going to give a word of testimony about growing up in a wet town, and I think share something also about our meeting here tonight. Travis.
Very good. Miss Deborah had asked me to share just a brief testimony, and that's what we want to do. I grew up in Spring Hill, Louisiana as a child, and I remember what it was like growing up in a wet town, in a wet parish. And I remember what it was like going to school with kids who grew up in homes where alcohol was prevalent and things like that. And there were not many of my friends that when you would go to their home, alcohol was readily accessible. And I love what someone said earlier tonight was that we believe that the campaign has been made deceitful because really what we're doing is making alcohol just simply more accessible. And I remember that there were times where I could not go to my friend's house because of the alcohol. I remember my brother as a teenager being chased home by teenagers who had access to alcohol, who had become intoxicated and they had become violent. And his friend ended up in the emergency room and things like that. And so we ended up moving out of Spring Hill to avoid the whole scene. I remember what it was like when carnivals and things like that would come to town and you could not go to those events because of the alcohol sales and people becoming intoxicated and violence and gang activity was heightened. And that's the memories that I have of a wet town. And I remember what it was like when we moved to a dry county and how refreshing it was to not have any of those worries. Now, is alcohol in Magnolia? Absolutely. Do people leave this place to go and get alcohol? Absolutely. We're not trying to disguise that tonight. What we're saying is what we desire is that alcohol does not become more accessible than it is right now. Right now, you have to get in the car and drive somewhere to purchase your alcohol. What we're talking about is being able to walk around the corner to a convenience store and purchase what you want. I don't believe that that is what we want for our town. I don't believe that that's what we want for our city. Also, my wife and I moved our family to Radcliffe, Kentucky, which is where Lee Williams is from. And it was a tragic thing that after the bus crash that you just saw the video for, that particular place went through a season like we're going through right now where they had to fight the wet-dry issue. And unfortunately, they lost that battle even after the tragic deaths of 27 people on a youth trip church bus. And, you know, so what I'm telling you that for tonight is that we have got to unify. They had no unity in their town. The town was split up. We also got to witness what alcohol did to that community. There was just a darkness that hovered over that community. You could not go to Walmart without someone talking about the bus crash or what had happened in that community. Look, we do not want that in Columbia County. Also, as a pastor, I have to say this, that Jesus Christ made a firm stand about causing people to stumble. If we make alcohol more accessible, what we're doing is we're building stumbling blocks rather than tearing them down. I believe I'm talking to a majority of Christian people in this room tonight, and I say that it is our job, it is our responsibility to tear down strongholds and not build them. Well, I'm honored that you allowed us to host this meeting. It's a blessing to see people from all over the county come and support this, and I thank you and all of those who have led this thing so far. It's been fast, it's been furious, and I believe that we have, with God's strength, with God's power, and with united forces, we have the ability to fight this. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. I hope that you've heard enough tonight to know that you can get involved, you need to get involved. We need you. We have to get a lot of people working to get the vote out, to get enough votes to vote this down, or your children and grandchildren are going to be exposed to alcohol every time they go to just about every grocery store, convenience store, and everything else here in Columbia County. In just a moment, I'm going to open it up to any feedback from you. Understand, we'll be here all night if everybody wants to share, their feeling, with me, okay? But those of us that you've elected, or those of you last time elected us, we're open. If there's something else you think we need to know or we need to do, please tell us. So if there's something you want to say tonight before we close in a little bit, this is your opportunity. Okay,
I know y'all already figured this out, but we have early voting
yes.
in the county, so all this needs to be done basically before early voting starts.
That's true.
We
We talked, what is the,
October 20th is the beginning of early voting.
okay, October 20th, early voting begins. That's a good point. We talked about that. If we do the thing with Lee Williams, October 7th, that'll be there toward the end. And Brother Stephen mentioned the mailing. He talked about the week before. That's something we may need to do before the early voting. Robbie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, a couple of things. One thing we're really gonna have to watch, I've heard this from several people, is what is it gonna matter if the state's gonna vote to let the industrial do that? We're gonna have to really follow that with people.
Yes.
Say it does matter to make a statement.
It's a good point.
And nothing else, it gives us grounds to go to the state and go, hey, you just voted west, we just voted ours right.
Yeah,
And so we've got an argument to stay on that.
it's true.
And to what Rob said about the tax revenues, I run some of those numbers, he's dead on that. You consider if you add your police force, right now the city, starting salary just for the police themselves, $34,500. If you added, when I ran my numbers, I figured crime would go up about a third a year. If you add a third just to the city police, for 6 new officers, it's $207,000 just paying the police officers. So that's over half of what they're saying is over the tax revenue, just in that one area.
Well, they say this will bring in jobs, obviously it's going to.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I've also noticed that they must be a research and consulting firm, because they is voting for a lot of their statistics, whoever they are. And so, but, I think Arkansas Family Coalition, where you got a lot of your numbers, that's a good website to go to and give you a lot of your, grounds for when people bring up these arguments. So that's something you want to keep in mind probably on that. And another thing is, and this is one thing that I'll be doing, this is one thing I'll throw out to people is, I've never heard anybody say, you always hear them say, well, Daddy started drinking and he lost his job, he lost the house. Or how old Bob Joe is, he gets drunk and wants to fight. Never heard anybody say, Daddy quit drinking and now we don't have a place to live.
Yeah.
Or Bob Joe sobered up and he quit, he always want to fight. You never hear that statement.
I read a statement years ago that I've not forgotten. It said, alcohol has many defenders, but no defense. What are you going to say good about it? Shirley?
Danny, I don't know how many people already know this, but I've done some research recently on a statewide alcohol situation.
Okay.
For both. That there is a lawyer in Saline County who has filed a lawsuit against the state claiming they did not meet the deadline to get the petitions in. The Secretary of State changed the date due from July 4th because it was a holiday to July the 6th. The Secretary of State may not have had that authority to do that. So this lady says she doesn't. She has filed a lawsuit saying the Constitution says 90 days, I think it is, before they have to be, and so July 4th was the deadline. So we might get a reprieve from lawyers that are fighting it on the state level. Of course, that will help us on the local level.
Yeah.
The deadline locally is a whole different ballgame. It wasn't July 4th, so I've investigated that, and I think they've done everything proper down here with a different deadline and all that. But right now, there is code on the state one that it could even come up on the ballot. We did something a year or so back, it was on our ballot, and it didn't count because it had already gotten thrown out up higher up. So hopefully we got saving rights on that.
That's a good point. Steve had mentioned earlier that it's not for sure that it will make it to the ballot. We'll pray that it won't. But if it does, we need to tell people you have to vote no twice to defeat it, state and local. All right. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
They actually weren't
Thank you. See, I'm not crazy about registering students, but if they've done it, it may force us to do the same to combat. You know, I mean, it's not right that somebody outside Columbia County can vote what we do here, but we have to abide by the laws that are there, so. All right, anybody else?
Brother Dane, Brother Tracy, one of them said if you want to get some good accurate numbers, but also look up the NIDA, National Institute of Drug Use, it covers alcohol and everything. And the biggest thing that stressed to me that is just an undisputed number, 100% true, alcohol is the number one killer of all young people in the United States of America.
Okay. If you couldn't hear that, Brother Travis Plumley was saying that you go to NIDA, get more facts and figures. You've got the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, all their facts. In our country, you've got the WHO, World Health Organization talks about it worldwide. There's a lot of facts out there. You don't necessarily have to quote the Bible. Just go get all these facts and say, this is reality, okay? There are a lot of people out there that don't really care what the Bible says, but if you speak to them with these facts and figures and truth, maybe you can sway them. Our goal is to reach the undecided, right? We've already made up our mind, okay? Pastors, I can't tell you what to preach. I hope that you'll, in your church, address this and encourage your people. But we've got to reach the other folks. Folks not going to church, the folks who are undecided. That's going to be the swing votes. It's normal and political things. So.
Brother Dane, let's keep pounding on them about the loss of population in El Dorado and Camden and the West County on this growth myth.
Right. Yeah, we put it in the letter, we have it on the website. And that comes from businesses either moving or coming in. That's where the growth comes in. It's not alcohol, other than your police force.
Well, we kind of maintain our, population.
We maintain our population.
They lost tremendous amounts of population.
So you have to do a good job of persuading people. And as Kevin said, do it nicely, with a Christ-like spirit. Be passionate, but under control. You know, we want you to get out, somebody to get out in the community and canvass, telephone. But if you're the type of person that antagonizes folks who want to fight, we probably don't want you on that committee. I'm just being honest. Okay. All right. Anything else before we turn you loose? October 7th, they're trying to get the Reynolds Center. Grand Hall, the Reynolds Center. That's the plans. And then September 21st is when Larry Page is going to be two different churches. They're going to open up to those that want to come to a town hall meeting at 6 that night. Yeah, October 7th, and what Lee Williams will be 7 o'clock. So again, try to follow on the Facebook pages, the website. You can contact us if you know us personally, or if you get our numbers or email, whatever. But don't get my number out to people on the other side. I don't want to. Just kidding. Okay. Anything else? If not, thank you so much for your concern, for being here tonight. Again, the battle lines have been drawn. It's time to go to, I hate to use the word war, but the Bible does talk about battle and war, right? We need to be willing to do what's necessary, or we have nothing to complain about. If you want to get on any of those committees, Deborah will have sign-up sheets over here. You want signs, T-shirts. If you want one of these DVDs that are out there, Miss